Coming up on this episode of Freedom from Fire, we'll discuss a topic that you've seen in the news a lot recently, active shooters. What should you do if you ever find yourself confronted with an active shooter in your workplace or school? We'll find out. Also, we'll hear from a member of our Fire Prevention Division about a program for kids who are caught setting fires. We've got that, plus a lot more, so stay tuned to Freedom from Fire. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Freedom from Fire. I'm your host, Fire Commissioner Derrick Sawyer. Here at Freedom from Fire, we aim to improve your quality of life by giving you fire and life safety information. We also introduce you to our local safety partners. On today's episode, we're going to discuss how to respond to an active shooter. You've seen on the news how an armed person can become a threat at a school, a public place, or event at a private business. In my first interview, Sergeant Bill Frazier from the Philadelphia Police Department will be here to discuss what you should do if you ever encounter that situation. Then later in the show, Lieutenant Diane Mercer from the Philadelphia Fire Department Fire Prevention Division will sit down to talk about her role in correcting the behavior of kids caught setting fires. But first, just prior to this taping, the Northeast experienced a major blizzard which left our area with about 2 feet of snow. I want to remind you about what you should do in order to stay safe during a major storm like the one we just had. Use flashlights and battery-operated candles if the power goes out. Don't use candles with flames. Use generators outdoors only. Indoor use creates a carbon monoxide hazard. Use caution with alternative heating and cooking appliances. Keep vents clear. Keep outdoor vents, such as those for your furnace, hot water heater, and dryer, clear of drifting snow and debris. Clear vents will prevent flue gases from backing up into the home and creating a carbon monoxide hazard. Report suspected gas leaks immediately. Watch for downed wires. They should always be considered live. Lastly, if you are able to stay off the roads during a winter storm, please do this. This allows our streets department better access to clear the roads. It also allows us to give our fire and medical crews the ability to reach emergencies more quickly and swiftly. As I mentioned earlier, we have with us today Police Sergeant Bill Frazier to discuss how to react in an active shooter situation. Let's first examine the definition of an active shooter. According to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, an active shooter is an individual actively engaged in killing or attempting to kill people in a confined and populated area. In most cases, active shooters use firearms, and there is no pattern or method to their selection of victims. The Department of Homeland Security produced a video showing the public what they should do if they encounter this situation. Take a look.
It is important to be prepared for such an event. Make it a practice to identify potential escape routes and have a plan in mind, even if you are just visiting a facility. In the event of a shooting at your location, you must quickly determine the most reasonable way to protect your own life. You will need to determine if the best course of action is to evacuate or to hide. Call 911 when it is safe to do so. If there is an accessible escape route, attempt to evacuate. Be sure to leave your belongings behind. Help others escape if possible, but do not attempt to move wounded people. Evacuate regardless of whether others agree to follow. Warn individuals not to enter an area where the active shooter may be, and follow the instructions of any police officers. If evacuation is not the best option, find a place to hide where the shooter is less likely to find you. And be sure your hiding place does not trap or restrict you or your options for movement. Consider the difference between cover and concealment. Cover will protect you from gunfire, and concealment will hide you from the view of the shooter. Quickly choose the best option. If you are caught out in the open and cannot conceal yourself or take cover, you might consider trying to overpower the shooter with whatever means are available. To protect your hiding place, lock the door if you can. Block the door with heavy furniture, and close, cover, and move away from windows. Hide behind large items such as cabinets or desks. Remain quiet. Silence your cell phone and/or pager. Even the vibration setting can give away a hiding position. When you call 911, remember to tell the operator the location of the active shooter. If there are multiple shooters, physical description of and number of weapons held by the shooter, as well as the number of potential victims at the location. When law enforcement arrives on the scene, their primary goal is to eliminate the threat and stop the shooter as soon as possible. First responders will not be able to stop to help injured persons until the environment is safe. Knowing what to expect will help keep you calm and allow law enforcement to quickly neutralize the threat. Officers may arrive in teams with tactical equipment such as vests, helmets, and rifles. They will need to take command of the situation. Expect to experience officers shouting orders and even pushing people to the ground for their safety. It is possible that officers from multiple jurisdictions will arrive on the scene. When law enforcement officials arrive, it is important that you keep your hands visible at all times. Avoid making any sudden movements. Avoid pointing, screaming, and/or yelling. Put down any items. Immediately raise your hands and spread your fingers. Remain calm and follow instructions. Do not stop to ask officers for help when evacuating. Just proceed in the direction from which officers are entering the location. For more awareness resources, please visit dhs.gov/critical infrastructure.
Now joining us today to provide more details on active shooter preparedness is Sergeant Bill Frazier from the Philadelphia Police Department. Bill, how you making out?
Good, Commissioner. Thanks for having me on.
No, thanks for coming on. So tell us a little bit about your career. What made you become a police officer?
Third generation.
Oh,
I
great.
didn't have much of a choice. All of us were Bill Fraziers. I joined the police department in 1979. It means I'm in my 37th glorious year as a member of the Philadelphia Police Department. I spent 17 years in patrol where I made sergeant. I spent the last 20 years in the SWAT Unit, team leader, and now I'm in charge of training for the SWAT Unit. And the SWAT Unit is charged with training patrol officers' response protocols to active shooter events. Mm-hmm. I've been doing it for a while.
So active shooter events, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, active shooter events, every one is different, but they have similar characteristics. The first thing that people have to understand about it is this person has already made the decision to die today.
Right.
He's intent on dying, so they won't have an escape plan. Escape plan is death. They're going to die. Because they've lost the will to survive, they become illogical. You can have 3 officers pointing guns, screaming for them to drop the gun, they won't do it. Brings us to the term suicide by police, where the police officers are forced to take someone's life. Active shooter events are over in less than 10 minutes. Wow. And this is what caused the shift post-Columbine to take the onus for response away from the tactical teams, the SWAT teams, and place it squarely on the shoulders of our patrol officers.
So is this a new term, or active shooter preparedness? So now before I guess we're thinking about how to respond, but now we're talking about preparedness. So is that a new term, or how long has it been around?
You know, developing response protocols to the police department, preparing the police department for it goes back years before the term active shooter was vogue. Early in my career in SWAT, there was an incident at a Philadelphia street sign shop located at G and Ramona. Our headquarters was at G and Erie, 4 blocks away. An employee had been fired the day before. He returned to work, and he was intent on killing supervisors. 3 of our officers jumped into a car and responded. They were able to drive through the property, interdict the shooter, take him down very rapidly, limiting the carnage. When they came back to the unit, we had a conversation informally, and it was, these events are occurring more and more across the United States. So informally, the SWAT unit started training their officers to this response in 1997, well before Columbine. And That's kind of how we got our start doing it. Over the years, we could see that SWAT takes too long because the incidents are occurring in less than 10 minutes. They're burning out. We're basically a mop-up operation. Police Commissioner Ramsey decided that it was time to train the patrol officers to get in there in the first 4 minutes, not waiting 15 minutes for a SWAT team. So that's when we began the formal training of the Philadelphia Police Department. We've done over 6,000 officers to date. So we're well prepared for response.
Great. So what are some of the characteristics of an active shooter? So what could someone look for?
Well, you're not going to get any heads up. You're going to be in the middle of it before you know what's happening. Active shooters have an axe to grind, but they don't have a will to live anymore. So 90% of active shooters in the workplace end in their suicide. The other 10% have to be dealt with by police. Some of them are the suicide by police, where they either don't have the courage to kill themselves or because of religious conviction, they can't commit suicide. They'll point the gun at the police and cause the police to kill them. Across the country, several officers have been wounded in actual firefights with these individuals. Thank God, I believe it's only 1 or 2 officers have lost their lives to.
So prior to you getting there, what can someone expect in this type of scenario? What would they expect to encounter?
Well, the video that you just showed is very good. It's called Run, Hide, Fight. It was put out by the Department of Homeland Security. And that kind of explains everything that a civilian needs to know. If you get caught up in one of these, right, safest place to be in an active shooter event is somewhere else. So first off, just acknowledging that you can have one of these events in your workplace, that's the first step in preparation. That helps you develop a survival instinct, mindset. You sit at your desk, where's the closest fire tower? Get up out of your desk, walk to it. Do it several times. Ingrain it into your head where you're going. Now, back at your desk, where's the next fire tower in case the shooter's over there blocking me from my primary escape route? Now you got your secondary escape route.
Plan B, right?
Plan B, right? If the shooter's positioned where you can't get out of your office, shut the door, turn out the lights, push a piece of heavy furniture against that door, barricading it, making it difficult for the shooter to get in there and get access to you. Turn out the lights, silence your cell phone, turn off your computer monitor, hide under the desk. It's an empty room, okay? That's called hide. Third step, if he gets into your room with you, be prepared to fight for your life because he's prepared to kill you.
Right.
Hit him with anything heavy. Computer keyboard, computer monitor. If you got a fire extinguisher, they make wonderful impromptu weapons. That's why it's called Run, Hide, Fight,
Run,
Commissioner.
hide, fight. So during your time, have you ever had to encounter an active shooter?
Yes.
So what is that experience like? I know the adrenaline rush has to be kind of high. You're trying to be safe. You're trying to protect your members as well as the public. So that has to be somewhat of a challenge.
Well, the active shooters, like I said, they're all different. I've been involved in a couple of active shooter responses. We had an active shooter event in the Kmart in the far northeast years ago where 3 people were shot trying to protect a woman from her ex that came in. We had 2 schools on lockdown for several hours. Kmart's a very large facility. The SWAT team got there and we did a thorough search. We couldn't come up with him. He had escaped out of another door. We went to his house the next morning with a warrant and a homicide detectives where he killed himself when we were approaching his bedroom. I've been to, believe it or not, community college twice.
Wow.
When there's a firearms incident at a college or any school, the Philadelphia Police Department automatically goes into an active shooter response. Yeah, so I was involved in the 2 incidents down there. They're kind of chaotic.
Right. So that's a lot of good information. I want to thank you for coming on the show today. I think you helped a lot of people to prepare. So thanks for coming on Freedom from Fire.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Remember, if you'd like to learn more about active shooter preparedness, you can visit the Department of Homeland Security's website and search active shooter. You'll find training materials as well as the video we just showed you. My next guest is going to tell us about a program that targets young people who set fires. Arson is a very serious topic, but how much do you know about this topic? To help us learn a bit more, we're going to learn or team up with our LaSalle reporters. In this segment, our team takes us to LaSalle's campus to see what people know about arson.
Hey everybody, it's Callie Montana, and today your favorite man on the street crew is back and ready for another semester. Today we're going to interview LaSalle students and quiz them to see what they know about arson. Let's get to it. Can you guys tell me the definition of arson?
Isn't it like fire you cause arson? Something with fire, lighting buildings on fire? I don't know.
When I think of that, I think of like somebody, like a criminal act, like somebody lighting something on fire. Maliciously starting a fire.
No. Arson, isn't that when someone lights a building on fire?
Yeah. It's a criminal act of setting fire with the intent to damage property and harm people. How much does someone get fined if they are convicted of arson?
$400.
I have no idea.
I didn't know there was a fine.
$200?
Think that's it?
$2,000?
$1,000?
It's $1,000 to up to $50,000.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so don't commit an arson crime.
Tuition.
Yeah. How long can someone be in prison for if they commit this crime?
Up to a year.
3 months?
5 years.
10 years?
Yeah, about 10 years.
All right, you guys are right. It's a year all the way up to 20 years. So really, don't commit this crime because you will be in jail and broke, which is the two worst things. True or false? Laws differ significantly between the states. Arson laws.
True.
False?
False.
It's actually true. They do differ, which is crazy, right?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
wouldn't think. I would have never thought that.
Yeah. What % of arsonists are male?
I would say 70%.
55%?
80. I don't know.
Ooh. Yeah, like 70. Say 65.
Go up just, well, a couple.
75?
Go up.
80?
Go up.
90?
Yeah.
Oh, 90. Okay.
90% of arsonists are male. True or false? Those younger than age 18 commit half of all arson crimes.
True.
False.
True, kids are pretty unruly.
Yeah, you're right. What could be some red flags that could identify a possible arsonist in the making?
Someone with a ski mask.
Like matches or something like that. Or, they like, I don't know, anything with fire.
An obsession with fire, I would say.
Like somebody who tends to like carry a lot of lighters and stuff and like look at it a lot. I don't know. Kid who likes to play with matches or is identified as a pyromaniac.
How many lives are lost each year because of arson-related fires?
I want to say 100,000, 700,
300.
2,000.
700. So you guys were,
We averaged it out.
you guys were somewhat there. Now, true or false, half of all churches in the past 20 years were burnt down because of arsonist fires.
True. True.
True.
True. Very good. What do arsonists usually start fires with?
That's an interesting question, because you would think matches, but I don't want to say matches.
Don't say matches.
Yes. Maybe like fireworks or lighters?
Gonna have to go with gasoline.
Gasoline. I don't know.
Yeah, gas.
I don't know.
Said it before, Grace.
Matches?
No.
Oh,
Gasoline.
gasoline!
It's gasoline or kerosene. So, good job, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks for that. Now let's take a look at one of our programs that tries to combat the misuse of fire and incendiary devices by juveniles. Joining us is Lieutenant Diane Mercer, who has 30 exceptional years with the Philadelphia Fire Department. How you making out, Diane?
I'm good, Commissioner. How about yourself?
Why you laugh? They were exceptional, right?
Oh, yes, they were.
So tell us a little bit about your career. How long, when you started and your career
Well,
path?
I started in 1985. I was one of 3 women hired that year, and I was assigned to Engine 41 at 61st and Thompson.
One of the busy spots.
Yes,
Great. So you've been with the Fire Prevention Division how long?
25 years.
25 years. So tell us about this Juvenile Fire Setter program. What is that?
Well, the Juvenile Fire Setter program it helps us to determine a child's risk level. We have a questionnaire that was developed by psychologists, and it helps us determine whether the child has little risk, definite risk, or extreme risk. In the case of children that are a definite risk or extreme risk, we usually give the parent a referral to a mental health facility. Because a lot of times children play with fire for different reasons. It's a curiosity, a dare, or something may be going on with them. It could be in the home, outside, or even in the school. And many times children can't voice what the situation is, so it manifests itself in fire play.
Right. So who's eligible for this type of program?
Well, any parent can call us, usually children between the ages of 5 and 18 participate in the program. We've received calls from parents with children that were younger, but we found that children that age a lot of times really don't understand the concept of fire. You know, they know that it's hot, but they just don't know the destruction that it can create. So what we try to do is provide the parent information to help them help the child until they're better able to understand. But children come to us two ways, either parent calls or through the courts, and those are court-mandated children who have either been arrested and convicted of a crime concerning arson or fire play. And usually that program is an extended program where we deal with the guardian or parent and child for about 5 sessions. Our sessions usually last for about 2 hours, and we go in depth as far as teaching fire safety and the different things about fire, such as the chemistry of fire, the ABCs of fire, talk about home fire safety, home escape planning, things of that nature. The children that come through us voluntarily, as I said, we use the questionnaire to help with the risk level. And in that case, if it determines that the child is a little risk because it's a curiosity or maybe they were with some friends, we help them understand how dangerous it can be and talk more about home fire safety, get them to commit to having a home escape plan, the parent and the child prepare a home escape plan. We kind of create, deputize or cause them, ask them to be the fire marshal of their home so that they can do a home safety inspection and also test their smoke alarms on a regular basis. If they don't have smoke alarms, then we contact the company in their area and arrange for them to go to the home and do the installation of smoke alarms.
And that's real important. So from your experience, what would you say is the leading cause for kids playing with matches?
I think some of them really don't understand just how dangerous it is. You know, they may be with their friends and they'll start a small fire and they'll put it out, and they feel the power of the controlling of fire. And so they'll do something a little bit bigger, and then it gets out of control, and then they panic. Some children will actually try to fight the fire, and some of them panic and may run and tell a parent or someone about it, and then some of them will close the door and pretend it doesn't exist.
So what can someone expect going through this program? What can the child expect, and then what can the parent expect?
Well, the expectation that I feel they should get from this is to increase their knowledge about how dangerous playing with fire is for a child, to help them to understand that it's a tool and not a toy, to help the parent to understand that this child still needs guidance as far as dealing with fire. I mean, there's good fire, there's bad fire, there's cooking, which is a good fire, but then having someone go pick up a lighter or bring me the matches, that's not a good idea, and that causes the bad fire. So we want them to make the distinguish the difference between the two.
So what can their parents expect from this program?
Most parents that have been involved with us tell us at the end of the session that it has increased their knowledge about fire safety in the home and how dangerous it can be. And most of them actually go back and tell friends and family about it. We always remind them too that if they don't have working smoke alarms, or if their family or friends don't have working smoke alarms, that they can call 311 to get in the system to get them.
So is there any type of follow-up when someone goes through the program, or is that it?
Most of the time, that is it. We have had parents contact us just for more information. We always encourage the child to even reach out to us by providing them with our business cards to let them know that we're still here for them if they feel they need somebody to talk to in reference to the situation or just in general.
So what can we do to prevent this from happening in the first place? Is there anything we can do to say, if we do these things, we won't have to worry about a child starting to play with matches?
I think with children as they grow up, we have to teach them at an early age. A 1-year-old can flick a lighter and can strike a match, but they don't know the power of fire. So I always feel if a child can say no, that's the child you can start teaching about fire safety.
Great. So I really appreciate you coming on the show. You shared a whole lot of information, and hopefully someone is listening and we can prevent someone from playing with matches. But before you go, I have to ask a favor. I ask all my guests to take the fire safety pledge. You willing to do that?
Sure, Chief.
All right.
After 30 years?
After 30 years, that's right. All right, so here we go. Let's take that pledge. I love my family.
I love my family.
And I'm responsible for their safety.
And I'm responsible for their safety.
Therefore, I pledge the following.
Therefore, I pledge the following.
I pledge to have at least one working smoke alarm on each level of my home.
I pledge to have one working smoke alarm on each level of my home.
I pledge to test my alarms as recommended.
I pledge to test my alarms as recommended.
And replace my alarms with new lithium battery-powered alarms when needed.
Yes. That too.
I pledge that every family member
I pledge that every family member
will sleep with the bedroom door closed.
will sleep with the bedroom door closed.
I pledge to develop and practice a home escape plan.
That too.
I pledge that if I cannot afford smoke alarms,
I pledge that if I cannot afford smoke alarms,
I will call the city's non-emergency number,
I will call the city's non-emergency number,
311,
311,
or visit www.phila.gov.
or visit www.phila.gov/311.
All of this I do solemnly pledge.
All of this I do solemnly pledge.
Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome.
I urge all of you at home to take the fire safety pledge along with your family. If you haven't already done so, go to freedomfromfire.com to review our fire safety checklist and prepare a home escape plan. Remember, if you would like to find out more about LaSalle TV, you can check out our social media sites. And if you are interested in learning about the fire department, visit our Facebook, Twitter, and web pages. I would like to once again thank Sergeant Bill Frazier and Lieutenant Diane Mercer for joining us today. I would also like to thank you for tuning in and watching. So until next time, remember, fire is everyone's fight. Stay safe and remain free from fire.